Jai Sadgurudev. Good morning to all of you. My name is Srirang and I have joined this satsang from North Carolina. Before we begin this session, I would like to bow down and offer my prayers to the holy feet of Lord Sadgurudev. So please join me by closing your eyes. बार बार वंदन करूं सदगुरुदेव हमार यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमा अपरंपार शरण शरण मैं शरण हूँ हे गुरु बंदी छोर मोहे उबारो हे गुरु यह 100 बार निहोर. Welcome to weekly English satsang organized by North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. In current times, our day-to-day life has become busy in fulfilling our physical and mental requirements and our social responsibilities. In this fast-paced routine life, the requirements of the soul are often forgotten. So, first of all, I congratulate each one of you for taking some time from your busy schedule to fulfill the requirements of our soul through this satsang. Today, we will continue our discussion about liberation. But before that, we will begin by inviting our Sadgurudev and ask for his blessings through the Swagat Gan. So, I request Jessica ji to recite Swagat Gan. Over to you, Jessica ji.
Jai Gurudev, Swagagan. Aja Swagata Nitya Guru Vara Santa Shubhagama Aye Adhyatma Vidya Divya Jyoti Somarasa Barasaye Dosha Dura Guna Dura Karike Shuddhansa Banaye Vedya Kama Gati Jnana Garjana Shakti Dwarva Hataye Kule Dwarva Shabda Sagar Bhakti Jana Anavaye Jana Sada Phala Vishwashikshaka Shana Anabachaye Aja Swagata Nitya Guru Vara Santa Shubhagama Aye.
Thank you, Jessica ji. So we'll move on to our next prayer. Now, in the presence of Sadgurudev, let's offer next prayer to His Holiness, which is Mangal Gan. So let us immerse ourselves in His thoughts and pray to Him to eradicate differences and ills amongst various classes, communities, and have universal peace. Let this earth be heavenly place with plentiful of bliss, prosperity, and peace. So I would again request Jessica ji to sing this beautiful composition. Over to you, Jessica ji.
Mangogan. Vishwa Shanti Nama Manga Parama Guru Kodyaye Varga Dvanva Shanti Doragara Bhava Beda Mitaye Swarva Bhuma Samasti Sata Yatmaraja Banaye Vishabhasha Bhava Jagamaya Jnana Paradarasaye Sumidri Suga Shanti Taratara Svarga Bhumi Banaye Vishwa Shikshaka Jana Sadafala Niti Swarva Apanaye Vishwa Shanti Nama Mangala Parama Guru Kodyaye. Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica ji, for singing Swagat Gan and Mangal Gan in melodious and very blissful voice. So we will continue our discussion. So we have Vijay ji who will walk us through the next topic in this deep dive spirituality session. So I'll hand it over to Vijay ji.
Yes, Dev, put my headset. I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, Vijay ji.
बार बार वंदन करूं सदगुरुदेव हमार यहाँ वहाँ सब ठाम में महिमा अपरंपार शरण शरण में शरण हूँ हे गुरु बंदी छोर मोहि उबारो हे गुरु यह सौ बार निहोर. Bow down to the lotus feet of Lord Sadgurudev, Mataji, Sant Shri Vigyan Devji Maharaj and Sant Shri Namdev Ji Maharaj. For last few sessions, we have been discussing about the liberation and the practical technique and the process, the milestones through which we attain liberation. I'm going to share my screen to guide us further into this. In the last session, we were trying to understand different realms that exist, the Prakriti Mandal, the Akshar Mandal, and the Ni-Akshar Mandal. We understood that there is a flow of energy from the Almighty to the soul, which is contained or which is held by or sustained by something called Makartar. So Makartar is the one that is keeping the connection of soul with the Almighty, no matter whether you realize it or not. There is an eternal relation of the soul with the Supreme Soul. There is an eternal connection of each one of us with the Almighty. And this eternal connection is unbroken. This is eternal. Eternally, we are receiving the flow of Almighty's energy into us through the Makartar. And this Makartar, the knowledge of Makartar, or the divine sight, divine eyes through which you can experience this Makartar is gifted to us only by Sadguru. That's why Sadguru is different from any other normal yogi. And unless we attain the knowledge of Makartar, there is no way you can progress ahead to the 11th door. The 11th door, which is the last door after crossing which you realize the Almighty. We can attain the experience of Almighty only if you happen to experience Makartar. And the Makartar is visible only in the light of Akshar Brahm. So the Akshar Brahm, the light of Akshar Brahm is essential for us to be able to experience Makartar. And the light of Akshar Brahm or the Makartar or the 11th door, everything is guided to us, or rather the ability to experience these are given by the Sadguru to us. So in this entire process, the light of Sadguru, the guidance of Sadguru is the engine of this process. Just like the engine drives the train from source to destination in this meditation journey. It is Sadguru's guidance, Sadguru's energy that acts like an engine that drives us, pulls us towards the destination. We understood in the last session that it is essential for the consciousness of the soul to separate from the prana and mind. Why is it essential? It is essential because as long as you are associated with prana and mind, you will not attain the upward flow of consciousness. The free and you can say the with ease, with the complete ease, or rather the natural upward flow of consciousness cannot be attained as long as the consciousness is associated with prana and mind. Right now, what is the natural flow of consciousness? It's downward flow. It's very natural that our consciousness flows towards the worldly subject. You don't have to put an effort. It is very natural. Any subject that comes to your senses, if your mind is there, it will connect you. It will connect your consciousness to that subject. So with mind, with prana, your senses are functional and your consciousness is flowing downward. Prana is essential for your senses to be functional, and mind is essential for you to be sensational about the subject. It is mind that pulls your consciousness to the downward direction towards the subject. So as long as the prana and mind are functional, there is a downward flow of consciousness towards the subject. Whereas we need to go beyond Prakriti. We need to be able to see something that our senses cannot see. Something which is not gross, something which is conscious. So to be able to attain the divine vision, divine eyes, we need a process to separate from prana and mind. In the last session, we understood that after we open the 10th door, then we attain the zone of Parmanu Mandal, where the prana is submerged, the prana is quietened. Then we attain the ninth chakra, the Navam lotus, the ninth lotus. There are 8 chakras. Chakras are also called lotus because these chakras have petals. Some has 2 petals, some has 4 petals, some has 16 petals. And the ninth chakra, the ninth lotus, has infinite petals. Just like the lotus flower, you see there are petals in the flower. Similarly, the ninth chakra has infinite petals. It is the light form. And the mind or the man is completely quietened only when we take the mind consciousness to the ninth lotus, the ninth chakra. So the mind is quietened at the ninth chakra. Prana is quietened at Parmanu Mandal. Parmanu Mandal is also known as Mahashunya, Sahashunya, Mahakash, Daharakash, Antarakash. Now, once the mind and prana, or rather the prana and then mind, when they are quietened, it is only then we attain the self-realization at the Turiya state. Only when we obtain our own light, when we are established in our own light, then we realize who we are and we attain the upward pull, right? Till now we have downward pull. Till now we are attracted towards the sensory subjects. But once we attain our own form, once we realize our own form, then suddenly we will remember our own abode, that we have come from the Tripad Amrit. We have come from the abode of Almighty. And then there'll be a natural desire to go towards that. Right now, we have desire to go towards subject. We have no impression about where we came from. But the moment you realize own self, then you also get attractions towards going to the purest abode of Almighty, the Tripad Amrit. So it is essential to separate from mind and prana to attain that realization that I need to go to this Tripad Amrit, this purest abode of Parabrahma. I need to go there. That very desire will automatically rise within us and will get attraction towards going upward. And now there is a natural attractions to go upward. Now your desire is like that. You don't have to force yourself. You are now having desire to progress in that direction. So I hope the Char, Akshar, Ni Akshar, Makartar, all these elements are clear to us. Now going further, we also discussed a bit about the Makartar, which goes from heart, from the heart meaning the soul, from the heart region to the 11th door. Makartar is from heart to the 11th door. But the flow of Brahm energy, the flow of Almighty's energy is downward from 11th to the heart. And this is what is also the you can say the pathway to reach to the 11th door. Swamiji says, शब्द के धारक शक्ति को मकर तारक सोई, हंस पुरुष लागी रहे यह गति जान न कोई. The flow of Almighty's energy is upholded by the Makartar. And there is a constant relation. जीव से पुरुष तक इसका संबंध लगा हुआ है. there is a constant relation, the connection with Almighty of a soul through this Makartar. This Makartar, which is holding the flow of Almighty's energy and is connecting that to the soul. So Makartar is a constant relation of a soul with Almighty. It is through Makartar we are constantly connected with Almighty. And when the soul, when the consciousness of the soul reaches to the Akshar Mandal, it is through this Makartar that it has to go upward. Naake tar adhar par panth agam chal sant, Makartar chhode nahi, jab lag pahunchna ant. Until we reach to the destination, to the 11th door, the sadhak, the meditator, is supposed to guide through this Makartar, should not go away from the Makartar, because the moment you go away from the Makartar, you are lost into the ocean of the Akshar Mandal. The Akshar Mandal itself is infinite for a soul, and then you will be lost here. You have lost your prana, you have lost your mind, and now your surati is stuck in the Akshar Mandal. If you don't go by the Makartar, you will be lost into the space of light where you see no ending. You're lost into this light, and you're stuck. You are not having hold of your prana, you're not having hold of your mind, and your consciousness is just experiencing the light. Now, when that happens, it is a risk to our life. It is a risk to our life, because now you have pulled your prana and mind beyond your body. You are breathless and you are lost into the space of light, and you have no progress there because you're not guided by the Makartar. You have gone away from the Makartar. That is why Sadgurudev says, till you reach to the 11th door, one has to guide through, one has to go by the Makartar. So there is a stream of energy coming down, and it is held by the Makartar. And this is what the Surati has to flow through to reach the 11th door. Swarved is written by Sadguru Sadafal Deji Maharaj. And the Swarved translation, when you look at these translation, not the translation, but rather the explanation, the Bhashya, the explanation is given by the second Sadguru, who is Sadguru Dharmachand Devji Maharaj. Presently, we have the third Sadguru in Vihangam Yoga. His name is Sadguru Swatanta Devji Maharaj. So the second Sadguru, Sadguru Dharmachand Devji Maharaj, he himself had this experience that during his meditation, when he entered into the Akshar Mandal, he got the curiosity to explore this Akshar Mandal, going away from the Makartar. And when he was lost into the space of light in the Akshar Mandal, now he didn't know what to do. And now he wanted to come back to the body. He wanted to pull his consciousness, breath, and mind back to the body, and he cannot, because he lost the clutch of prana and mind, because he went away from this track. At that time, Sadguru Sadafal Deji Maharaj was in Himalaya, Shunya Shikhar. And Sadguru Dharmchand Devji Maharaj was in Bihar or Uttar Pradesh, somewhere in India, some other place in India. And now he was feeling breathless and it was a risk to his life. So he had no choice but to cry for help from Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj. So in his meditation, he remembers Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj that protect me. And then Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj sitting in a Himalayan cave, he gets his vibes, he gets the message. It is a telepathy. The Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj can hear everything, even today as well. He is present in his abhyakta form, in his non-human, in his conscious form. He is still present till his mission is complete. He will be present, and his mission is to give the salvation to minimum 100,000 pure Hansa, and he will continue to guide all of us through this process. So Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj got his message that Dharmachandra Devji is crying for help. And he understood the situation that, oh, he's lost into Akshar Mandal. And he lost the touch of his breath. He cannot go back to his body. And after a certain period of time, if you remain in that state, then forever you lose that body. So you'll be declared dead. And then the soul will be pulled out of the body by the prana. So Sadafal Devji Maharaj, sitting in Himalaya itself, he coughed 3 times. He did that because he infused breath to Sadguru Dharmachandra Devji Maharaj. And with that cough, there was sudden pull of consciousness towards the 10th door. And suddenly he was pulled into the body. He got his breath, he got his mind, and he was back to the body normal. Later, when Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj returned from Himalaya, then he warned him. He said, "What did you do, Mahatma?" He used to call him Mahatma. "What did you do, Mahatma? You should have never gone away from the track of this Vihangam Path. This is Vihangam Marg. You should not go away from this track. Otherwise, it is a risk to your own life." And Dharmchand Devji Maharaj describes that in his own word in Swarved itself, that this has happened to him. He has himself experienced this. So this very journey is a journey of a warrior. Only the warrior can go ahead in this journey. And because you need to have a courage to leave your prana at its abode and then continue on the Makartar. The Makartar will be swinging. You have to keep hold of Makartar till you reach the destination. And you need to be obedient in this journey. And that's why Sadguru Seva, where we get used to obey the command of Sadgurudev. Our state in our, the inner core should be such that whatever Sadgurudev says, I must do that. Only when you be in that state, it is only then there is a chance of progressing in this journey. We must be the sevak of Sadgurudev. We must be the one who is ready to serve Sadgurudev. Because only when we become sevak of Sadgurudev, then only you have your state of surati such that you will obey Sadguru commandment in this journey and will not risk your life. सुना के तारा धार पर पंथ अगम चल संत, मकर तार छोड़े नहीं, जब लग पहुंचना अंत. Till you reach your destination, the Surati has to swim through the flow of energy on the Makar tar. We have to, this Makar tar is what is going to guide us to the 11th door. And we have to keep holding Makar tar. So you can understand that it means Sadguru must be guiding in this mandal, in this Akshar mandal. Sadguru must be guiding in some form, some way, that this is Akshar Brahm, this is Makar Tar, go ahead in this journey, keep holding this. And literally that is what happens. And this is what is another mesmerizing fact about Sadguru Dev. We don't know what Sadguru Dev is right now. We think that the Sadguru is the one in the human form in front of us. But human form of Sadguru, which is today in the form of, say, Sadguru Swatan Devji Maharaj, that is the human form of Sadguru today. The third Sadguru in this lineage, in this Vihangam Yog generations, we are in the third generation of Sadguru. Today we see Sadguru Swatan Devji Maharaj as the human form of Sadguru. And only when we connect with the human form of Sadguru, it is only then our surati, our consciousness, will be such that it will recognize the voice of Sadguru in the meditation as well. So when you are into meditation and in the higher stages of meditation, you will hear the familiar voice in the abode of Akshar Mandal as well. It is Sadguru's voice that will guide you in the meditation. And then you will understand that Sadguru is present everywhere. How is that? The yogi sitting in India, yogi sitting in America, yogi sitting in Australia, if they are practicing at the same time, and if they all progress in the Akshar Mandal, they all will hear Sadguru's guidance at the same time. This glorifies what Sadguru is. At a single moment, he can guide all his sevaks in the meditation journey independently. This is what makes Sadguru different from any other yogis. We all can become yogi, but we cannot become Sadguru. This is the difference. Sadguru has 20 divine qualities, 20 divine arts, 20 kala vibhusit. You must have heard about 14 kala, 16 kala. Sadguru is 20 kala, 20 divine qualities. And that is different from those 14 kalas and 16 kalas of other deities that you have heard about. Sadguru's 20 divine arts are very different. They are more aligned with Almighty Himself. Sadguru's 20 divine arts. And one of that art is that at any moment, if his sevak needs his guidance, no matter where, in which coordinate of the space, Sadguru is present over there to guide that. This is one of the art of Sadguru Dev, one of the divine arts. And it is he who guides the meditator in that space of consciousness. So when we submerge our prana and mind, then it is Sadguru who then enlighten the soul with the light of Akshar Brahm. भेदी योगाभ्यास में दिवा धाम प्रकाश, सो अक्षर प्रकाश है पंथ अग्र सुख रास. This is the fourth stage of Vihangam Yoga. Swamiji says in Bhashya, in this explanation, चेतन अनुभव पथ विहंगम योग का अभ्यासी दिव्यधाम अर्थात योग की चतुर्थ भूमि में जिस प्रकाश को देखता है वह अक्षर का प्रकाश है। पूर्ण प्रकाश सच्चिदानंद परब्रह्म का मार्ग उससे आगे सूक्ष्म है। सुरति निरति होकर अपरिचिन्न परमानंद का उपभोग करती है। अक्षर प्रकाश से निःशब्द परम पुरुष का मंडल आगे अत्यंत गहन है। साधक अनुभव तत्व ज्ञान के द्वारा ही अक्षर और निःशब्द भेद को जान सकेंगे। Swamiji says here that there is a difference between the light of Akshar Brahm and the light of Almighty. The Almighty is also called as Satchidanand Parabrahma. These are the name of Almighty only. Almighty is also known as Nihishabd. Nihishabd. Almighty is also known as Nihi Akshar. So Sadgurudev says that when the yogi reaches to the fourth stage of Vihangam Yoga, that is where we also learn to separate from the prana and mind. That is where we also get the self-realization, and that is where we also experience the light of Akshar Brahm in that space. So in the fourth stage of Vihangam Yoga, beyond the 10th door, when we are in the Akshar Mandal, it is Sadguru who then shows us that the light that you see now is the Akshar Brahm light. आगे का पग दीजिए शब्द होत झनगार, अलख पुरुष लख लीजिए अक्षर सकल पसार. In the explanation for this doha, Sadgurudev says that that is the abode where you hear Sadguru's instruction. आत्मा तथा अक्षर दोनों के मंडल अलग अलग हैं. योगाभ्यासी साधक जब बाहरी शक्तियों को रोककर अपनी आत्मभूमि में स्थित रहता है, तब सद्गुरु की दिव्य वाणी आगे बढ़ने की आज्ञा करती है, जहां प्रकाश युक्त अक्षर ध्वनि हो रही है. सद्गुरु in that space of consciousness, Sadguru instructs the meditator to progress towards the light which is visible now. And Sadgurudev says that light is of Akshar Brahm. It is Sadguru's divine sound that will guide you in that space, and it will tell you that this Atma that you see is Brahm. This Atma that you are experiencing right now, this Atma, this light that you are experiencing right now is Brahm. Yah Atma Brahma hai. Here the Atma does not indicate about your own identity, Atma. Atma here is indicating about the Akshar Brahm. See, everything is Atma only. One is Param Atma, which is Almighty. The Akshar Brahm is Madhyam Purush. Akshar Brahm is also an Atma. Atma is a conscious entity. Any conscious entity is called Atma, meaning something which is not physical entity. So this Atma, this light, this conscious entity that you're experiencing is Brahm. What is Brahm? There is a difference between Parabrahma and Brahm. Brahm here indicates the Akshar Brahm, the Akshar Mandal, Akshar Brahm. So Sadguru Dev instructs here that this entity, this Atma that you're experiencing right now is Akshar Brahm. So in Sadguru's divine words, in Sadguru's divine guidance, you happen to experience the entity of Akshar Brahm. And Sadguru clarifies you that this light, this divine light that you are experiencing right now is not Parabrahma. This is not Almighty. This is one of the milestone. Only after you attain the light of Akshar Brahm, then only the Makartar will be visible to you, and then only you can guide through that to reach the 11th door. So you have to attain this light first, the Akshar Brahm light. And who makes it clear to us? It is Sadguru's divine sound in that abode, in the meditation. Sadguru's divine guidance is received. Yah Atma Brahma hai. And in the Vedas, in the ancient scriptures, this very stanza where this thing is depicted in the Vedas, Yah Atma Brahma hai, this is misinterpreted by the intellectual people who reads Vedas, who translates Veda in their own words. When they read about this dohas there, where it is explained that there comes an abode when you happen to experience Yah Atma Brahma hai, this entity, this consciousness that you are experiencing right now is Brahm. They mistranslate that and says you are Almighty. They misinterpret both. They misinterpret Atma and they misinterpret Brahm. These both words are misunderstood by intellectual people. Neither this Atma is about our own identity, the individual soul, nor this Brahm is about the Almighty. Rather, this Atma word is used for the light of Akshar Brahm. And this Brahma word is used for not for Almighty, but for Brahm is a word which is given to an entity who creates, who sustains, and who destroys this creation. Brahm is for the creator, for the sustainer, and for the destroyer. The entity who is in the root of creation, the entity who is the reason, not rather the root, I would say, who is the reason for creation, who is the reason for sustenance, who is reasons for the pralaya. That entity is called Brahm. So Akshar Brahm is called Brahm, but then Almighty is also called Brahm. Why? The Almighty is also called Brahma because everything is actually happening with the wish of Almighty. That's why Almighty is also called Parabrahma. But to differentiate between Akshar Brahma and Almighty, there is a different term for Almighty, and he is known as Parabrahma. Parabrahma. But he is also Brahma. He also has a qualification of Brahma. And that's why the Brahm word is used contextually for both. Somewhere when you see the term Brahm, it will be used for Akshar Brahm only, not for Almighty. And then in some other context, the Brahm itself can be used for the Almighty as well. It depends on the context. But in this context, when the yogi experiences the light of Akshar Brahm, and a divine guidance from the Sadguru is heard there that this Atma is Brahm. Here, this Atma, the word Atma is not for the individual's meditator. It is not for the meditator that this light that you see is your light. No. Sadguru say they is terming Atma here for the Akshar Brahm. So he says, Yah Atma, this light, this entity, this consciousness that you are experiencing is of Akshar Brahm, not of Almighty. So Swamiji, Sadguru Dhamchand Dev Ji Maharaj is writing in the explanation, यह संकेत सदगुरु करते हैं, इसी आधार पर नवीन वेदांत के वाचक ज्ञानी केवल मुख से इस जीवात्मा को इस वाणी से यह आत्मा ब्रह्म है इसकी घोषणा करते हैं. When they when those intellectual people who have no experience in meditation, when they read about Yah Atma Brahm hai, when they read about this explanation in Vedas, they misinterpret it and they think that this Vedas Sukta is clarifying that each one of us is almighty, that individual soul is almighty. Aham Brahmasmi. And that's why they correlate with Aham Brahmasmi. Oh, that means, see, the Vedas also says that we are no one but God Himself. And this is a complete misunderstanding. In this Svarved, it is clarified here that the Vachak Jnani means the one who has only read about it, not experienced about it. That intellectual people misinterpret it. Yah Atma Brahm hai. So Sadguru's divine presence in the form of guidance is there in the Akshar Mandal also. In the Akshar Mandal, he is guiding us. He is showing us the light of Akshar Brahm, and then he also guides us to go ahead of it. अलख के अलख के मंडल आयकर परखो सुरति लगाए तब आगे डोरी धरो गुरु गम में लवलाए. So after we realize Akshar Brahm, Sadguru Dev further guides that now follow my path. Now I'm going to give you a path and follow it. Sadguru Path. Guru Gam means Sadguru Path, meaning the path that Sadguru is going to show now. Like an engine driving the whole train to the destination. अक्षर मंडल में पहुंचकर सुरति द्वारा उसकी पारख कीजिए और आगे चेतन डोरी पकड़कर सदगुरु मार्ग में अपनी सूक्ष्म चेतन शक्ति को लगाइए. So this says that after you experience Akshar Brahm, then further be guided by Sadguru. Sadguru will show you the path that where do you have to progress your consciousness into further. That path is shown by Sadguru. The reason we are speaking about it, discussing about it, to understand very clearly that without Sadguru, there is no way we can attain liberation. Because the path to the liberation is shown by Sadguru only in the guidance, in the meditation. It is Sadguru who alone can guide you in this journey. There's nobody in that space of consciousness, no deities. Nobody has reached to that space. All deities are within the Prakriti Mandal. All the guidance that you get from deities are within the Prakriti Mandal, how to survive in this. But the moment you're talking about liberation, this abode belongs to Sadguru. Only Sadguru alone can guide you into that journey. तो अलख के मंडल आयकर परखो सुरति लगाए तब आगे डोरी धरो गुरु गम में लवलाए. It is Sadguru alone who can guide you through that journey. Swinging with makartar and swimming upward like a fish. So the moment Sadguru will show you the makartar, he will clarify the path that you have to then progress towards this path and reach to the 11th door. And then though the flow of energy is downward, but the surati, the consciousness has to go upward. And this is what Sadgurudev says, surati to machli bani, shabd dhar dhar jaye, sot mein jhulan jhulati sagar jaye samaye. Just like the fish that can swim in the opposite direction of the stream, Sadguru gives us the technique how the surati can also flow upward in the downward flow of this energy. though there is a downward flow of energy, but you hold this path and go upward. So your consciousness is with Makartar. This whole Makartar, this channel will be swinging. This will be swinging and you will be holding on to it and slowly moving upward in the process of meditation. Your consciousness will be holding on to Makartar, swinging and going upward. And what is the experience that you get there? Sadhgurudev clarifies that every moment the Makartar will stop, then there'll be a thunder. You will hear the sound of thunder and there'll be lightning. Just like you see in the cloud, you hear the thunder and there's lightning. Similarly, in the space of Akshar Mandal also, the moment you stop the Makartar, there'll be Lord thunder and lightning in that space. All that is experienced in the zone of Akshar Mandal. And what happens after the thunder and the lightning? You get the rain, right? You get the rain in this Prakriti Mandal. See, this is the beautiful thing about creation. Creation symbolically shows us what happens in the journey of meditation as well. This creation is divinely created. It has the analogical presence of the divine experience as well. You see the thunder and you get the rain afterwards. Similarly, here also, every time the Makartar will stop, there'll be the thunder and the lightning. And when does the Makartar actually stops? When you reach to the 11th door, then now you have reached to the door and you get the stream of Somaras. Just like the rain falls on the earth, the soul is then completely soaked into the Brahma Ras. Brahma Vidya, the Satchidanand, the Anand, the bliss of Almighty, then is completely experienced. Then you feel the rain of Brahma energy onto you. And this rain of Brahma energy, the rain of Almighty's energy, will then soak you and you'll be merged into it. So मकर तार हिलत रहे झूलत रहे निजियान रूक मेघ सम गरजती चकमक विद्युत समान. Swami says that this makar tar is shaking, is swinging, and the yogi keep holding this makar tar and go upward to reach to the destination. And whenever this makar tar stops, there is thunder and there is lightning. सुरती तो मछली बनी शब्द धार धर जाए सूत में झूलन झूलती सागर जाए समाए. And the surati holds on to Makatar and it reaches to the 11th door, swinging upward. Just like the fish can swim upward in the opposite direction of the stream, similarly the surati can progress upward in the downward flow of Brahma energy. Swamiji further says, attaining the swinging at Makartar is very rare. Only fortunates one ultimately get that, because that is the final thread, right? Once you reach to that, now you are almost at the 11th door, after crossing which you will experience Almighty. So attaining this swinging of Makartar is the greatest fortune. The fortunates one get swinging of Makartar in their life. And Swamiji says that swinging of Makartar is different from the vibrations that a Raj Yoga get or a Hatha Yoga get. The Hatha Yoga also get the vibration in the body during their practice. The Raj Yoga also get the vibration in the body when they practice, but those are at the plane of the body and mind. Whereas this swinging of Makartar is not reflected in the body at all. You're beyond body. Your body is breathless. The people sitting in front of you will not notice anything happening in your body, but your soul is experiencing everything at its own conscious plane. Your soul is swinging with the Makartar. So this swinging in Vihangam Yoga is different from the vibration in Raj Yoga and vibration in Hatha Yoga. This also says Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj had the complete knowledge of all other yoga practices as well. And that is why he knows what is the limit of all other yogas. Where can they take you to? And why Vihangam Yoga is essential to complete this journey. तो विहंगम योग का झूलन, राजयोग का स्पंदन एवं हठ योग का कंपन में अंतर है. There is a difference between this swinging of Vihangam Yoga, the vibration of Raj Yoga and the vibration of Hatha Yoga. चढ़त शब्द की धार में आत्म झूलत जाए, रोम रोम रस भीनता उर आनंद भराए. So when the soul starts swinging in the Makartar and the consciousness starts progressing upward, while you swing, you go upward. When you go upward and you reach to the 11th door, the 11th door opens for you. And you get the darshan of Almighty. You get the experience of Almighty. But for that, you have to cross the 11th door. Though you were able to progress through the Makartar to the 11th door, but you cannot enter into 11th door. And also, who shows the 11th door? This is 11th door. It is again the Sadguru only. It is Sadguru who clarifies that now you need to enter into this 11th door. And all these guidance you will be receiving in the meditation. You will literally hear the sound of Sadguru in meditation. He will be guiding you. Now you need to enter this. You will put an effort to enter into that 11th door and you will fail. You will not succeed because your consciousness is still not to that subtle form with which you can enter into 11th door. This is where the consciousness of soul, which is Surati, which is at the level of Surati, has to transition into the level of Nirati. Only when the Surati will further refine to the level of Nirati, it is then it will be able to cross through the 11th door. So avato chetan shuddha hai, chetan surati samhar, surati divya nirati bani, mil sukh sindhu द्वार. प्राण और मन के शांत होने पर आत्मा पवित्र हो जाती है और अपनी चेतन सुरति की रोक कर गगन मंडल की ओर आगे बढ़ती है एवं दिव्य सुरति निरति बनकर शब्द महामंडल के चेतन द्वार में प्रवेश करती है. अर्थात सुरति सूक्ष्म निरति होकर शब्द मंडल के द्वार में जाकर मिल जाती है. योगी का आत्मसमर्पण इसी भूमि में होता है. So after you cross this 11th door, then you just surrender to this ocean of Sachidanand. This is what is called complete Atma Samarpan, the complete surrender. The complete surrender happens only after 11th door opens. And for us to cross the 11th door, we have to further refine our consciousness from Surati to Nirati. So Nirati is the finest conscious form that the consciousness of the soul can take. So with the nirati, you cross the 11th door. Nirati is what passes through 11th door. Sadgurudev clarifies here, नौ द्वारा को बंद कर, खोलो 10वां द्वार, खिड़की एकादश खुली, अग्र पुरुष दरबार. So there are 9 doors in the body. There are 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, and then you have 2 organs of excretion. These are the 9 doors. And then there is a 10th door, which is called Brahmarandra. So this is the 10th door. And beyond that is the 11th door, Ekadash Dwar, 11th door. It is also known as Ekadash Khirki, the 11th window. Why it is called window? Why Khirki? Because the door is big, but window is small, right? So Surati can pass through the 10th door, but Surati cannot pass through the 11th door because it is further fine door. It is not as big as the 10th door. That's why it's called door and this is called window. 11th door is actually a window. It is symbolically, when we are saying here door and window, it's not like physical door and window. It is just symbolically been said here that the 10th door is yet more grosser than the 11th door. 11th door is more finer, uh, you know, access where the Surati cannot pass through. Surati also has to refine further to Nirati to pass through it. सो एक पाद तो 11वां खिड़की खुल जाने पर आगे परम पुरुष का साक्षात्कार एवं प्राप्ति होता है. आफ्टर दिस 11th door opens, then you get the experience of Almighty. एक पाद प्रकृति मंडल है और एकादश पार अमृतपुरी 3 पाद चेतन महामंडल है. अक्षर पार नीह शब्द परम पुरुष है. दिस इज अक्षर. सो बियॉन्ड अक्षर इज Ni Shabd Param Purush, Paramatma, the Almighty. Though Almighty is everywhere, Almighty is, everything is contained within Almighty. But this is the abode where you reach to a state where now you can experience Almighty everywhere. Only when you cross this 11th door. To be able to cross 11th door, you have to refine your consciousness to the level of Nirati. And the moment you reach to the level of Nirati, then you experience Almighty everywhere, even within the creation as well. So Almighty is everywhere, but this is the abode where you are able to refine your consciousness to that level where you can experience Almighty. So Akshar Par, Ni Shabd Param Purusha. So when we say Akshar Par, beyond Akshar, beyond this Akshar Brahm, beyond this Akshar Brahm is the Parabrahm, is the Almighty. So what is this beyond here? It is not about physical location. When we say beyond Akshar, it's about the dimension of consciousness, how conscious you are. If you are conscious at the level of Akshar Brahm, then you will experience only Akshar Brahm. But when you become more conscious than that, meaning your Surati becomes Nirati, now you are more conscious, your consciousness is more finer than before. That means you have gone beyond Akshar Brahm. And this refinement of consciousness is what is happening when you are passing through this 11th door. So when you go beyond Akshar Brahm, meaning when your consciousness is further refined to the level of Nirati, then you experience Almighty. So अक्षर पार नी शब्द परम पुरुष है. एक देशी आत्मा की चेतन धारा होने के कारण परम पुरुष का स्थान बतलाया जाता है. अनुभव साक्षात्कार के पश्चात ब्रह्म सत्ता का प्रकट सर्वत्र अनुभव होता है. So Swamiji clarifies here that because the soul consciousness is at one place right now, so consciousness will experience where the consciousness has reached right now. If let's say your consciousness is with one subject, you will see only that subject. But even it is something like this. When you look at an elephant, let's say somebody is just looking at the leg of the elephant, even though the elephant is more than the leg, but you experience only the leg. But if you expand your consciousness, let's say you go little distant from the elephant, now your consciousness can connect to the whole figure of the elephant, and then you understand, oh, the elephant was beyond this leg as well, but my consciousness wasn't able to connect to the wholesome of the elephant. I was able to connect only to the leg of the elephant. So what it means that our consciousness is unilocated. Our consciousness is unilocated. When our consciousness is unilocated, it can experience only the portion to which it connects. And that's why Swamiji says here that though you experience Almighty at the 11th door, after passing through the 11th door, it does not mean that the Almighty was just here. The Almighty is everywhere. So once you further expand your consciousness after reaching beyond 11th door, when your consciousness starts attaining the light of Parabrahma, light of Almighty, it is then your consciousness expands to experience the wholesome of Almighty, and then you experience Almighty everywhere. So this transition happens after you cross 11th door. And Swamiji says, अनुभव साक्षात्कार के पश्चात ब्रह्म सत्ता का प्रकट सर्वत्र अनुभव होता है, and then the Almighty is experienced everywhere. यही समाधि विज्ञान का अनुभव साक्षात दर्शन है. This is what is the real experience of samadhi. How authentically Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj has depicted each milestone of reaching to the samadhi. Who can write and explain in such vivid details? The one who have got the real experience. This is what makes Vihangam Yoga very different from any other path. Svarved is the expression of experience. That's why Svarved is also very different from all other scriptures that you have seen so far in your life. Svarved is the expression of the real experience. And with the God realization, all the bondages shatter, they end. तीनों ग्रंथि खुलिया, संशय कर्म विनाश, ब्रह्म विद्या प्रताप से आपे आप विकास, ब्रह्म विद्या चिनगी उड़ी लगी कर्म घर आग, कर्म वासना जर गई चेतन चेतन जाग. Once we attain the God realization, then the bondage of karma, the bondage of inertness, and the bondage of ajnanata, all these three vanish, and we become a living liberated being, Jivan Mukt. So first we attain Jivan Mukta state, and then we attain Videha Mukta state. So there was a question from Monica ji in the very first session, what is then Jivan Mukta and what is Videha Mukta? So though I had something else to cover, but today I'll conclude with Jivan Mukt and Videha Mukt, and then we'll come back to the proclamation. And now we can understand why in proclamation Swamiji has said all these lines. And in every line, he says, I take the responsibility of getting you over there, because he says बतलाऊंगा, पहुंचाऊंगा, ठहराऊंगा, धराऊंगा, बैठाऊंगा, अनवाऊंगा, दिखलाऊंगा, पाऊंगा, मिलाऊंगा, mitaunga. These terminology means I take the responsibility to get you over there. You don't get there, I will take you over there. This is what is the word of Sadguru. Because that's what literally happens. That's what literally happens in meditation. It is the Sadguru who guides us into that journey. So in fact, I'll cover this. I think it's already the time. So I'll cover the Udghosh, the proclamation, and about the Jivan Mukt and Videha Mukt in the next session. If you have any questions, we can take it now.
Thank you, Vijayji. So I think there is one question. There is no name, but we had couple of questions from Rahul ji from last week. So Rahul ji, we will take your questions first, and then there is, someone else wanted to ask question. We will take their question later. Rahul ji, are you still on the call?
Yeah, Srirangji, I'm still in the call. Thank you so much. I think I had two questions. I actually asked those questions when I was asking about the Akshar. So that question was covered by Vijayji. I think the second question I even don't remember now. But in today's session, I have one question. If you allow me, I can ask that question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Vijayji, when you were talking about the risk to the body, in case somebody moves away from the, Makartar, in
Right.
that case, is it that the reason that initially, at least in the initial stages, the sadhak is not told to, concentrate, or maybe I would say focus on Brahmarandh? Because whenever the initial stages are there, the focus or consciousness focus to be brought to different areas rather than bringing it in the line of Makartar. So I just wanted to confirm that is what I understood, that the initial stages, it's important to bring somebody to that stage of, first of all, that level of, stability to continue his or her consciousness in one point. And second aspect of it is that when goes to the next level, the higher level, third, fourth, fifth level, at that point of time, the consciousness has to be brought in the line of Makartar. Is that right understanding, or if I'm missing out?
Yeah, the essence is right. Just the terminology needs to be corrected. So when the sadhak is initiated into the first stage, many people get confused that where is the the secret focal point? Is it between the eyebrows, or it is as prescribed by Vihangam Yoga, the focal point? So many people misunderstand, and when they read Bhagavad Gita, when it says that samam kaya shriyogram dharyanchalam is sampreksha nasikagrasva dishasha navlokyan. Many people misinterpret that, and they think that I need to concentrate between the eyebrows. And Swamiji says that when you concentrate between the eyebrows without receiving the light over there, then actually you are not at the Triveni, because little deeper than that is Triveni, where the Ingla, Pingla, Sushmana, these three nerves meet together, where there is a sound of Om, where there is a light of Om. And if you're not initiated into Vihangam Yoga second stage, and you misinterpret the first stage itself and start concentrating between the eyebrows by rolling your eyes up, when you do that, this may have adverse effect on your brain, and there is a chances that you will become mad. You will lose your senses, basically. So to avoid that, it is essential that first collect your consciousness at the focal point that Vihangam Yoga says, with the open eyes, with the half open eyes. And it is only then the second stage of Vihangam Yoga will be initiated, where you will be asked to concentrate upward. And after that, the third stage of Vihangam Yoga comes when it is initiated to take, or rather to roll the eyes up, to concentrate upward. But that process, where people say that concentrating at the Brahmarandra is not advisable unless the first stage. People don't talk about that in Vyangam Yoga. People rather talk about the second stage, that concentrating between eyebrows without Sadhguru's guidance, without Sadhguru's instructions, and without him giving the light is not good. So first stage meditators should concentrate rightly at the focal point, not at any other place. So the focal point which we come to know between the nostrils, we need to concentrate there only in the first stage, nowhere else.
Thank you very much. This is really good explanation. Thank you.
Okay. So there was, in the chat, somebody actually said they have a question and they will ask it at the end. There is no name.
Dave, Mr. Dave. Yeah, I think Mr. Dave also said that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I ask it?
Yeah, Devji.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, just a Guru Dave.
Yes.
My question is, it to me it sounds like basically, and if this is correct, just let me know. It sounds basically to me like at that point there is a point that is known that you get to the point beyond self-realization where you can become confused and believe that you are God, or in a more egotistical sense. And to my understanding, if that happens, it's like the worst thing that can happen in that state.
Right.
So
Exactly.
does Sadhguru come to you before you hit that point to help guide you past that point?
Yes. So you're right that at that moment when you start misidentifying yourself as the Brahm himself, then you Sadguru Sadguru will start guiding you there. No, this is not you. This is Akshar Brahm, or this is Almighty. At every stage you start getting that illusions about your own thing, but then Sadguru will warn you over there and will give you the realization that this is not you. So not necessarily Sadhguru's instructions will come before you hit that illusion, but during the time you hit the illusion, Sadhguru will guide you. Not that everybody gets that illusion, for sure. It totally depends on in what state of devotion we are at. So if we are completely devoted to the guidance of Sadhguru alone, then you don't even get to that, and you just keep moving with Sadhguru without even getting all those illusions on the way. But there'll be different situations for different yogis. So there are situations where the yogis reach to that abode and then they come back because of, as you said, they think that this is what is me. And the moment they get into that so intensely that they start ignoring even the words of Sadhguru Dev over there. And that's what they get, the downward pull again. The mind comes into picture again, and mind pulls them down to the body. So in Kabir Sahib's word also, it is said that there are only rare who rise to that level and then goes beyond 11th door. The majority of them come back. बहुत तक चढ़ी 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 के फिर आए विरला जन ठहराना, चलो जहां बसत पुरुष निर्वाण. Kabir Sahib says that there are only rare few who crosses the 11th door, who cross the 11th door and culminate into union, and remaining they come back because of their own egotistic experience. So you're right, Devji. Yeah.
I also had one last thing to say that was on the subject of what the person before me had to say. Um, I find it interesting, and this is just a statement. I find it interesting, but in both the Rig Veda and also in the Brahma Vidya Upanishad, it describes the seat of your soul, where your soul sits basically, is, I do believe it's at 8 digits from the face. So if you count out 8 digits in front of your face, that's basically the focal point that we use in our meditation. It's this basically the same thing. So that goes basically for me that says it goes back to the illustration of the Rig Veda. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Jai Sadgurudev Vijayji and everyone. Vijayji, you brought one Raj Yoga, the word that you used, Raj Yoga. Could you please shed some light on Raj Yoga?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. So there are practices at different levels. When our practices are at the andric level, when our practices are confined to the physical body, it is called Hatha Yoga. And when our practices go beyond the physicality and reaches to the level of mind, so anything guided by the mind is then you have entered into the Raj Yoga. So in the practices of Hatha Yoga also, when you do Kumbhak, Bandh, you get into a state of vibration. So your body will start vibrating. So that is a different vibration. Then in the level of mind also, when you practice certain concentration at the level of mind in the Raj Yoga, there also you get the vibration. And then comes beyond 10th door, when you start swinging at the Makartar in Vihangam Yoga. There you get the swinging, which is free from vibration. There are vibration before that in Vihangam Yoga journey, but that vibration is at the level of Raj Yoga and at the level of Hatha Yoga. So even Vihangam Yoga, in this first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth, fifth stage, in this journey, you pass through Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga, and then you culminate into Vihangam path, Vihangam Yoga. And so Swamiji says that the swinging of Vihangam Yoga is different from the vibrations of Raj Yoga and vibrations of Hatha Yoga. These three vibrations are different from each other.
Thank you, Vijayji.
Vijayji, Sadgurudev, I have a question, Mr. Naraja. There are Guru Sampradas. So how does that work? Because if you look at the Nath Sampradaya, Vaishnava Sampradaya, and so on. So if you can just throw some light on that, I mean, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, so every time the Sadguru comes on the earth with his divine wisdom, he will make Brahma yogis, because he comes to enlighten the yogi with the Brahma Vidya. And those enlightened master, those yogis, become the preacher, and just like we are the sevak of Sadguru Dev, we are doing the prachar of Sadguru Gyan only. We are reaching nook and corner of the world, try to find the pure Hansa who are eligible for Brahma Gyan, who are eligible for pure devotion. Similarly, when the Brahma Gyanis are made, they start spreading the technique of Brahma Vidya. Now, in that process, there'll be, with the time, what would happen is the next generation of Guru will come into that parampara. Then next generation of Guru, then next generation of Guru. And in the process, they become different branch, where there'll be some dilution of the knowledge as well. So the pure Brahma Vidya, which was the mother of all knowledge, all these different sects and the stream of knowledge that you hear today, they are rooted to Brahma Vidya only. But based on the perversion, the, you can say, diversion of understanding through generations, you, as the knowledge passes through generations, they get little perverted. It will not stay in the purest form. So though the Brahma Vidya, the Sadguru's knowledge is the root of all knowledge, but over the period of time, the different sects will start coming into picture when the purest form of Brahma Vidya goes into oblivion. So only when this purest form of Brahma Vidya goes into oblivion, then the different forms of knowledge, which actually branched out of this purest knowledge only, but because of having no Brahma Gyani at that moment, the one who still has the complete experience of Brahma Gyan end to end, and not just the bookish knowledge, or not just the half experience. In the sense there'll be yogis who will still have experience until the third stage of Vihangam Yoga journey, but they would not know that they are experiencing in the path of Vihangam Yoga, in the path of Sadguru's knowledge. They are experiencing Anhad, they are experiencing Panch Brahmandi Shabd, which actually comes in the Vihangam Yoga journey between second and third stage. And in those anhad, in those sounds, in those light, they will start relating that experience with what they have read in books. And the misinterpretation starts from there. Because they are experiencing at the lower level of their sadhana, but they have access to the scripts and texts which talks about higher level of sadhana. Now, what they experience is the lower level, what they read about is the higher level, and they have to build connection with it. They have to somehow build connection. They think that what I'm experiencing is what is written in this higher stage of meditation. And this is how the misinterpretation begins. And the different stream of knowledge, because everybody has their own level of experience now, and they're trying to relate that with the ultimate experience. So everybody will use their own intellect to come up with their own correlation. So though Brahma Vidya is the mother of all knowledge, all other knowledge is just the branch of this, a subset of that Brahma Vidya knowledge. But that subset, when is understood as the wholesome, that is where the different sects, different stream of knowledge comes into picture. And to shatter that, to revive the complete knowledge, again the Sadguru has to come down. So even though you find different stream of knowledge prevalent today, to give the true picture of the Brahma Vidya knowledge, the Sadguru has to come down again, because the Brahma Vidya knowledge has gone into oblivion. Nobody has that purest complete knowledge, no? And so Tvadutam Agne Amritam Yuge Yuge. That's why for that Dut of Almighty, for that Sadguru, it is said that he has to come in every yuga. That's why he has to come in every yuga. That when the knowledge is perverted, it is corrupted, then the Sadguru has to come down again to revive this knowledge into some soul who can now spread the purest knowledge all over again. So Brahma Vidya, that's why goes into cycle. It is lost through the generation. For example, even before Sadguru Sadafal Deji Maharaj left his body, he already, did his yogic divine act, and he already has spread the Parmanu, the yogic Parmanu, and said that this will be functional for the 6 generations. And after that, this knowledge will go into oblivion. So we are already into 3rd generation of Sadguru in this appearance. And after 6 generations, there'll be no Sadguru who will have complete experience. After 6 generations, Vihangam Yoga knowledge will not stay in the purest form. Vihangam Yoga knowledge will exist, but there'll be no yogi, no Sadguru who will carry this light of wisdom, and it will go into oblivion. So Brahma Vidya also goes into cycle. It appears and then it disappears when Sadguru pulls his energy back. And when he disappears, when the Brahma Vidya disappears with Sadguru, then what remains is just the text, just the scripture, and half-baked yogis. So half-baked yogis who have not completed his journey, and the text is available. That's where the different sects and belief system comes into picture. Thank you.
Will it make sense that when the sixth generation completes, then Nityanadi Sadguru will still be around, even though Sadguru
Yes.
Sadafal Maharaj would have uh, um, completed his mission,
Right.
but
Right.
Nityanadi will be there, and people can still continue to attach their mind onto him.
But
Is
how
that
will
right?
how will a yogi connect to Nityanadi Sadguru? Nityanadi Sadguru is in the conscious form, and he himself will appear only for a yogi of, let's say, Sadafal Deji Maharaj. When he did all his effort to realize Brahma Vidya knowledge, he went
I see.
length and breadth, and he found nobody who could teach him that technique. Then for him, when Sadguru Sadafal Deji Maharaj was at the epitome of his seeking, when he found that I am dying for this knowledge now and nobody in the world is going to give me this knowledge, then Nityanadi Sadgurudev appeared in front of him and gave him this wisdom. So for Nityanadi Sadguru himself to appear and give the knowledge, one has to be a seeker at a degree of Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj.
I see. That makes sense, actually. Yeah.
So Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj then was chosen by Nityanadi Sadguru to spread or revive this technique all over again. So Nityanadi Sadgurudev will come to revive this technique, and he will come and pass the knowledge to a soul who can then carry it forward. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vijayji, one question I have. Before Sadafalji Maharaj,
Yeah.
who was carrying this Brahma Gyan?
Right. So before
As a
Sadafal
Sadguru.
Devji Maharaj, Nityanadi Sadgurudev himself appeared in Kali Yuga. So as it is said that every yuga, Nityanadi Sadgurudev will appear and spend some time in the human form. And then he will basically pass this knowledge to somebody to carry it forward. So before he passed on this knowledge to Sadguru Sadafal Deji Maharaj, he himself came in the form of Kabir. So Kabir Sahib, that we think is just a yogi or this or that, a kavi or whatnot. Actually, Kabir Sahib was, the body of Kabir Sahib was not made of Panchatattva. Kabir Sahib's body was not made by 5 fundamental elements of creation, because Kabir Sahib was not made of Prakriti. Kabir Sahib was not made of Prakriti. Kabir Sahib was the human form of Nityanadi Sadguru himself. And that's why, we have been hearing only about the 6 bodies, right? We heard about Hans Deha, we heard about Kaivalya Deha, Mahakaran Deha, Karan Deha, Sukshma Deha, Sthul Deha. Six Deha of the soul we have heard about. There is a 7th body also, the Sapt Deha, the 7th body. And that Sapt Deha is of the Nityanadi Sadguru's body in the human form. And that Saptadeha is not made of any Prakritic element. So Kabir Sahib was that Saptadeha of Nityanadi Sadgurudev, the seventh body, the seventh form of body. And that's why he just appeared in the human form. He was not made in the mother's womb. It's not that inside the mother's womb, slowly, just like the body is developed. Kabir Sahib's body wasn't developed, but Kabir Sahib, Nityanadi Sadgurudev just assumed the body in the bal form, in the child form, and then his so-called he was adopted then by Julaha, the one who goes to fish in the lake. They found Kabir Sahib on the lotus in the child form, and they adopted him. And so the body of Kabir Sahib was very different from the body that we see made within the mother's womb. And that he depicted, he showed when he left his body. When the Hindu and Muslim were fighting for him, they covered his body, and when they lifted it, there was no body. It was just fresh flowers. And they distributed the flowers. The Hindu burnt it, the Muslims, they dig and they put it under the ground. They did their own way of final whatever karma kand they had to do. So Kabir Sahib was the human form of Sadguru, and the Nityanadi Sadguru stayed for that long to revive or to dissect, to bisect all the prevalent knowledge that time. That's why in Sadguru's Vani, you will hear things which were kind of cutting the belief system at that point of time. Kabir Sahib said for both. For Hindu also he said that why do you why do you just say that the Almighty is just in front of your leg? Which direction of your leg Almighty is not? Why do you ring the bell? You know, the is Almighty not able to hear your sound from your mind? Why do you have to make the loud noise and all that? And he said the same thing about Muslim. He said the same thing. So wherever the knowledge, whenever the knowledge goes into that kind of perversion, then the Sadguru assume his body comes back and spread the the purest divine Brahma Vidya knowledge again. So Kabir Sahib
Yes.
was before Sadafaldesh Maharaj.
Like Kabir Sahib also showed Sachkhand to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and that is how our Guru Granth Sahib has at least 40 to 50% of Kabir Sahib knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
In that case, didn't Guru Nanak Dev Ji became Sadguru at that point when he took Guru
He
Nanak Dev Ji to
Guru
Sachkhand?
Nanak Dev Ji was the divine yogi. Guru Nanak Ji was a Brahmagyani, and Sadguru enlightened him. So there is a difference between Sadguru and the enlightened masters. You and all can become enlightened master, but not everybody can become Sadguru unless Sadguru himself will pass the Sadguru energy into the soul. So this is a difference. Now, when you become enlightened master, you can definitely guide the other soul into the spiritual journey. But if anybody else has to get the same enlightenment, then that enlightened master can only connect you to the Sadguru so that Sadguru can enlighten you. So even not only Guru Nanak, but various other rishis who get enlightened or who rather guide other people to enlightenment, if they do it with the energy of Nityanadi Sadguru. Nityanadi Sadguru has to ultimately guide that soul into the higher journey to make it happen. But is that yogi himself capable of doing it? That will depend on whether the Sadguru energy is there in that soul or not. For example, Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj is capable of doing that because he holds that energy. Sadguru Sutan Devji Maharaj is capable of doing that because he holds that energy. He has Sadguru stream flowing through his soul. So he can streamline that Sadguru energy anywhere he wants, and he can get that happen. But other yogis will rely on the mercy of Nityanadi Sadgurudev to make that happen. So this is the difference.
Thank you, Vijayji. Just one last question. Sorry if I'm taking anybody's time. So before Kabir Das ji, who was Nityanadi Sadguru?
So every yuga, as I said, the yuga also have cycles, right? It's not that the first time the Chatur Yuga have happened. In this last Chatur Yuga, we have seen that there is a Treta Yuga and Bhagwan Ram was there. There is a Dwapar Yuga, Bhagwan Sri Krishna were there. These Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, you heard about only the Mahapurush, meaning a human who went beyond the limits of a human capability through their yogic power. But the one who were enlightening them to make that happen was less known by people. So during Dwapar Yuga, it was Karuname who was the human form of Nityanadi Sadgurudev. During Treta Yuga, it was Munindra who was the human form of Nityanadi Sadgurudev. During Kali Yuga was Sahib Kabir. So it is the Nityanadi Sadgurudev who himself. During Sati Yuga, it was Sukrit Dev. Sat Sukrit Dev. So Sat Yuga was the Sukrit Dev. Treta Yuga was Munindra. Dwapar Yuga was Karuname. Kali Yuga, Sahib Kabir. These were the human incarnation of Nityanadi Sadgurudev in the recent Chatur Yuga. But this Chatur Yuga is happening for thousands of times, thousands of rounds in every kalpantar. There is multiple Chatur Yuga, and every Chatur Yuga the Sadguru has been coming. We have text available right now only for this Chatur Yuga, but the Brahma Vidya knowledge has been coming down to the earth in every yugas, not only this recent Chatur Yuga. And in every yuga of the Chatur Yuga, Nityanadi Sadgurudev will have to come down to revive this knowledge. And that's how Brahma Vidya knowledge also goes into oblivion and then is revived back. This also goes through the cycle in every yuga.
So Vijayji, just one small, I'm so sorry. Is there anybody who want to ask the question? Then I can ask it. If there's nobody, as you mentioned, जब प्रलय होता है, सृष्टि, खत्म हो जाती है, then our soul gets into the dormant state. Now, dormant state के अंदर the soul is having all the karmas of all the lifetime and all the yugas. And then again, जब सृष्टि वापस आती है, then the soul journey starts.
Right.
और वो सोल जर्नी अगेन 4 युगों से फिर होके निकलती है, या कल्पा से होके निकलती है, युगा से.
Right.
So that tells me, boss, it is video recording already happening.
Right.
And then the video recording will repeat again. And everything is happening is predestined, already recorded, already defined from yugas. कि कब किसने क्या करना है, कब जुड़ना है, किस सदगुरु के चरणों में जाना है. Is this theory correct?
No, there is a difference in this. There is, when we say pre-recording and replay, you're talking about replay actually. But actually there is no replay. Every creation, when the soul, let's say, reach to the pralaya and the soul is not into the salvation yet, so we are talking about thousands of yugas have gone by, and still the soul is here on the earth, on the in the creation, and collecting the karma. So this soul who had the baggage of karma even at the time of pralaya, they it does not mean that those baggage of karma is nullified and then it starts replaying again, and then in the next creation he will again collect back the same set of karma. If it is a replay, then how can a soul ever salvate? If, let's say, during from the creation to the pralaya, just imagine this way. Even, I mean, through the logic also you can cut this, when, let's say, from the creation to the pralaya, a soul does not get salvation. Let's say a soul does not get salvation from the creation to the pralaya. If a soul does not get the salvation, that means that soul will never get salvation, because if it's only a replay every creation, then the soul who did not get the salvation from creation to pralaya, that means that soul will never get salvation if it is a replay. So of course it's not a replay. In every yuga, the soul has the freedom to choose new karma that they want to. In every yuga, in every creation, let's say at the end of the creation, when the pralaya happens, when everything goes back to the cosmic egg, the parmanu, and there is no body, no creation, no akash, nothing, but the soul still remains in this one quadrant only. And what happens to the baggage of karma? That recording which was in the chitta before, right? Now the chitta is not there because the sukshma sharira is also not there. Because when it goes into pralaya, everything shatters. There is no sukshma sharir. But what remains is only the conscious body. But in the conscious body, where will the karma get stored? So when the pralaya happens, then all these recordings goes into the abode of Almighty. Almighty becomes the base of everything then. So all your recordings of karma are on the basis of Almighty's consciousness now. And when the creation happens, when the Sukshma Sharira will get created, all your recording will come back to you. So when the recording comes back to you, it does not come back with a notion of replay, but definitely those recordings of karma will influence your present life. Because based on the karma that you have been doing in the past, there is a chances that you will again engage or get attracted towards the same set of karma. And that's why you see a replay things happening. But those replay are by choice, not by force. You are surrendering to your own vibes, your own vrittis. Your vrittis are rising. It's forcing you to do that. But it's still your choice whether to repeat the same bhoga or to do different new karma. It is still your choice. But then there are souls who are weak minded, and whatever their vritti says, they are driven by their sanskaras, and they keep engaging into same activity yugas, and they remain trapped in this prakriti. So when you see replay, the replay is basically in terms of you repeating into same bhoga, your desires having the same flavors even after yuga and yuga. But the actions, the karma that you have to do, you have the full freedom for that. Only the circumstances will be served to you, but what you do in that circumstances, the karma that you choose to do is your own making. You can freely choose to do any karma. Only the bhoga is not in your command, but karma is your commandment. What bhoga you get is Almighty's commandment, but what karma you do, what effort you can make is your choice. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Vijayji. And Bhoga means fal.
Yeah. Bhoga means phal. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vijayji, one quick question on the yugas.
Niranjanji, looking at the time, I think we have to wrap up. So can we just, ask your question for the, can we keep it for next session?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Let's keep it for next session.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So we'll move on to our next segment. Okay, so so we know that Brahma Muhurat time is the best time for meditation, and most of us are not able to take advantage of this, the pious time. The Brahma Muhurat time is between 3 to 5 a.m. So to encourage all of us, Navy has started WhatsApp group called Brahma Muhurat Warriors. The goal of the group is to encourage everybody to start taking advantage of the Brahma Muhurat time for the meditation. So in this segment, we recognize people who have been meditating all 7 days, throughout the week during Brahma Muhurat time. So the warriors of the week are Alara Canfield ji, Bhagwati Patel ji, Lal Mani ji, Maya ji, Prachik Shirsagar ji. My name is also there. Surya Alam Raju ji, Tajinder ji, Vinita Kumari ji, and Yogesh Shirsagar ji. Along with these people, we have inductees of the week. These are people who have meditated at least once a day, at least once in the last week. They are Amit Tadekar ji, Deepti ji, Jaswinder ji, Monika ji, Sriram Sahu ji, and Tanuja ji. So thank you everyone for encouraging all of us to keep meditating during Brahma Muhurat time. Apart from that, there is another group which was recently revived. We had started 21-day meditation challenge at the beginning of the year, and we completed that yesterday. So we have again started another challenge within the same group to continue meditation for next 21 days. So please do take advantage of that as well. People who are not meditating during the Brahma Muhurat time, I would say that 21-day meditation challenge is a good starting point to get regular in the meditation. And once you get regular in that habit, then you can optimize your meditation time and take advantage of Brahma Muhurat meditation as well. So we will now move on to the last segment of our satsang. In this phase, we chant a short version of Vandana, Arti, and Shanti Path. Vandana is the prayer through which we seek blessings of the Sadguru. We request well-being, health, wealth, and seek his blessings for spiritual knowledge. So I would request Dev ji to sing last 4 lines of Guru Vandana. Over to you, Dev ji.
Vandana. Prabhu Kalpa Santa Samaja Uttama Sarva Dharma Acharya He Jimi Naja Asriti Sindhuki He Vishva Palamana Maya Kanya He Prabhu Satya Santa Samajatara Aparaksha Ki Jai Jana Sadafara Jana Bhakti Vridi Dina Dini Ki Jai.
Thank you, Devji. Our next prayer is Aarti. Through Aarti, we acknowledge the power of Almighty and pray that all disciples experience eternal joy, love, and freedom from worries under His holy guidance. For Aarti, I will request everyone to stand up. And again, I request Devji to sing last few lines of Aarti. Over to you, Devji.
Arti. Gur Murati Gati Chandrama Sevaka Nayanana Chadpur Palaka Palaka Nirakat Rahe Guru Murad Ki O Shweta Shweta Maya Shweta He Shweta Shweta Maya Shweta Teen Pada Amriti Bara Shwet Mahamada Shri Ashta Chandra Saba Shunya Pada Dar Adhara Ki Par Taha Sapafa Gor Kia Ulipada Sansar.
Thank you, Devji. So our last prayer for today is Shanti Path. So for Shanti Path, I would request everyone to sit down. Shanti Path, in Shanti Path, we chant for peace for everyone in this universe. May Sadgurudev bless the entire cosmos with peace, love, and prosperity. I would again request Devji to recite last few lines of Shanti Path. Over to you, Devji.
Hey Prabhu Shanti Sarupo Shanti Shanti Maya Shanti 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 Jana Shanti Ho Purna Shanti Maya Shanti Hey Prabhu Shanti Pradana Kara Duraho Sarva Ashanti Deva Sadafala Shanti Maya Shanti Shanti Sukha Shanti. Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Thank you, Devji, for singing Guru Vandana, Aarti, and Shanti Path in very soulful words. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us and making this satsang successful. Special thanks to Vijay ji, Dev ji, Jessica ji, Rahul ji, Niranjan ji, and Jaswinder ji for their active participation. So I pray to the Sadguru Dev for peace and spiritual week for all of us ahead. And let's try to, keep joining these satsangs because they help us, stay on path with Sadguru's knowledge and helps in, keeping our knowledge to the purest form. So see you all next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. on the same Zoom session. Have a wonderful day ahead and Jai Sadgurudev.